Hello and welcome to this Azure fundamental lesson. Today we will be looking at cloud concepts, especially the benefits and considerations of using cloud services. In this lesson, we will be looking at two concepts that together to provide one of the key advantages to using cloud concepts. And these two concepts are scalability and elasticity. Starting with the scalability is ability to increase your instances count or size of existing resources. Let's say when we do in two different ways, this can be actually do in two different ways. Let me show you here. So you have the scale up as well as the scale out options. We also sometimes call vertical scaling, and also we call it as the horizontal scaling. Now, what exactly the vertical scaling or maybe a scaling up? When you say scaling up, it means you're actually taking your existing resource. For example, it's a VM which is currently have 2 CPUs and 4 GB RAM. So when you scale up, it's gonna up to 4 CPUs and 8 GB of RAM. That means you're increasing vertically the size of that specific VM. Let's say if you have already 4 CPU and the 4 core CPU and 8 GB of RAM, you want to make bigger of this size of this VM, then you can go for 8 CPUs and 16 core RAM. So when we talk about scale out, that's nothing but your larger instances count. That means you're adding, for example, you have the one image as a one base image. The same image will be duplicated and the number of instances will increase. So if you think about what's the major difference between this and this, here it's only one VM. So when you try to scale up from 2 CPUs to 4 CPU, you have to actually take offline of the existing VM and then add the required CPUs and RAM, right? But here there's no disturbance for your horizontal scaling, because it's a one same machine. It's going to clone in the background and it's going to add it. So let's talk about what we have discussed. So for the scaling out, increasing instances count of existing resources, so that's called scaling out. So there's no disturbance to your workloads. So that's a scaling out. And when you talk about the scale up, so it's nothing but increasing the existing VM size to one size to another level of size. That's a next level of size. So it can be your the workload is not able to handle within that VM. That's a maybe a purpose to you to increase to 4 CPUs and 8 GB of RAM, for example. So when you do this method, it's a disruptive. And when you do this scale out or the horizontal scaling, so there is no disturbance or there's no downtime for that specific VM. One of the best example I can give you here is let's say Thanksgiving Day, special offers are offered by Amazon or maybe an e-commerce website. So you have only one website here which is running with only one instance. Maybe because of the load, heavy load, because you're increasing a lot of offers, that would definitely do the business more. So more users hitting, more traffic is coming up. So you have an option to horizontally scaling up. So that's nothing but the scale out to one instance to another, and that would be automated way. So that's where elasticity comes into the picture. When we talk about elasticity, the ability to increase or decrease the instance count or the size of existing resources. In this case, this is one of the existing resource based on the fluctuation, based on the traffic, based on the demand of the workload. It automatically scale up, and if there's no demand, it can go even down. So that's the advantage. So by doing that, you don't need to maintain all the time many servers. Like unlike we in on-premises, we never know what kind of workload is coming up, and we try to maintain the number of servers in a higher availability mode, or NHA or NLB, or more instances will be there in our on-premises. But when we look at the cloud side, it actually only one VM, but when the actual demand comes up, it is elastically, it is growing up in a horizontal way, so automatically it can add up the direction for the scaling up, as well as the it can go for the scaling down also if really needed. That means you're going to pay for that moment, maybe during the Thanksgiving Day offer time, you're going to pay for the number of instances that are spinned up. So that's the advantage. So based on the changes in the workload, you're going to pay for what you use. So that's the advantage of the scalability and elasticity. So keep in mind that this is really one of the core benefits of cloud. In general, the ability to pay for only what we use and responding to the changes in our application in real time, and be able to provision the resources that we handle that extra load. So you can imagine that doing this in our own data centers would be very costly, having to buy many servers and upfront you have to keep them and maintain, manage. It's too difficult and too costly. In fact, it's not difficult. It's not about the technology, but it's all about the you pay more actually. For understanding more about auto scaling, you can visit the Microsoft site and you can go through this. It might not take much time. You can open up this link and check out how to configure the specific settings. Let's say you can configure the auto scaling with the creation of the profile and the capacity. You can create rules like triggering. So for example, if the capacity is minimum maximum default with a trigger point where it's gonna trigger on a specific time, then it's gonna going up or down, we can define. And also you can send the notifications for the same thing so that you know that what is happening. So this is one of the best link where you can go through this. So this is where you can check out your Azure virtual machine scale set. That also you can check out here. And auto scaling can be configured not just for the VMs, also for other resources. So thank you very much for joining this lesson. I hope you learned something in the process, and I hope you had fun participating. If you would like to go ahead and grab a quick break, when you're ready, I'll see you in the next lesson.